Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a city of steel, molten steel that is the city's economic lifeblood. And what better way to escape the week's labor than at Three Rivers Stadium, where every autumn Sunday some unique and wonderful events take place. But it is not the pageantry that draws Pittsburgh's partisans. They are drawn by their football team, a team that has captured its fans with hard-nosed, steel-tough football. The Pittsburgh Steelers have always provided excitement, and excitement was the watchword for Steelers 71. For head coach Chuck Noll, the season began with two hurdles to overcome. He had the youngest team in Steeler history, numbering 25 members with 2 or less years playing experience. And while the Steelers have always thrived on defense, the offense has often lagged behind. Noll has 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the league in Terry Bradshaw and Terry Hanratty. In 1970, they had alternated, and the offense had been inconsistent. But this season, Bradshaw emerged as the key man to lead the Steeler offense. During the season, Bradshaw's maturity would mark the growth of the Steeler offense. Done it alone, but his individual skills are remarkable. Despite missing 2 complete games, Fuqua was the AFC's 11th leading rusher and 4th leading pass receiver. Fuqua's running mate is Preston Pearson, number 26. In his 5 years in the NFL, he has developed into the Steelers' tough yardage runner. The Steelers have a 3rd starting running back in quarterback Terry Bradshaw. In today's multi-pronged pro offenses, a quarterback with wheels is a valuable asset. Bradshaw's all-out running style brings crowds to their feet. But more importantly, it brings a new threat to the Steeler offense. Defense has always been Pittsburgh's long suit, but the offense is gaining strength. Guard Bruce Van Dyke, number 66, is the leader of the offensive line. The line is a blend of youth and experience, exemplified by 3-year man John Kolb and 10-year pro John Brown. They know their job: protect Bradshaw. Tight end Bob Adams has said playing with Terry Bradshaw is like watching a rose bloom in slow motion. Witness for yourself. Half lineman, half receiver, Bob Adams has a lineman's strength and a receiver's soft hand. Finally, a matched set of second-year receivers in Dave Smith and Ron Shanklin. In 1971, Smith caught 47 passes, Shanklin 49. Smith had 5 scores, Shanklin 6. Both Smith and Shanklin can run, and while ranking 5th and 4th in the AFC in receptions, they were only 11 yards apart, accounting for over 1,300 yards of total offense. All-Pro Joe Green, the leader of the defensive line, is in his 3rd year, as is L.C. Greenwood. Dwight White is a rookie. Their youth is balanced by Lloyd Boss, toughened by 8 years in the NFL, who shares duties with Ben McGee, number 60, another 8-year pro. Boss and McGee are the stay-at-home men who pick up the pieces that trickle through the hard chargers, White, Green, and Greenwood. There is youth and experience at linebacker. Jack Ham is a rookie and hits with a rookie's exuberance. Middle linebacker Chuck Allen is the oldest Steeler. Although only 31, he has 11 years of head knocking behind him. 7th-year man Andy Russell, number 34, has been an All-Pro and is one of the Steelers' most consistent players. But he hits like he's still trying to make the team. The Steeler front 7 and defensive backs are all aggressive, but in their savage play is present the uncharacteristic element of ballet. But opening day in Chicago was hardly a day for quarterbacks or any offense, as two teams dressed in black and white turned each other black and blue. Gradually, Pittsburgh's pursuit of man and ball created the breaks that enabled the Steelers to forge a 15-3 lead. With 6 minutes to go, their lead seemed safe. But the Steelers fell prey to the scourge of inexperience. 2 fumbles allowed the Bears to come back. Chicago had been tough to the end and claimed victory. It was a lesson the Steelers would not forget. In Pittsburgh, the young and tough Steelers hosted the young and tough Cincinnati Bengals to see who was the toughest and who was most likely to come of age in 1971. Defense keynoted the first half, and the Bengals' big cat, number 74, Mike Reed, led the charge for Cincinnati. But Pittsburgh's defense proved to be the stickiest, and number 34, Andy Russell, made sure that Jess Phillips got the message. Led by 11-year veteran Chuck Allen, number 58, Pittsburgh's linebackers completely shut down the Cincinnati sweep. Number 11, quarterback Virgil Carter, opened up only once on this 46-yard play to Speedy Thomas. But the attack failed. And although Horst Muhlmann's 33-yard field goal put the Bengals on the board first, these were the only points Cincinnati's offense could muster. Meanwhile, Terry Bradshaw seeded the Steelers' offense with long aerial strikes to number 88, second-year wide receiver Dave Smith from California State College in Indiana, Pennsylvania. Obviously, being from California State and Indiana, Pennsylvania was enough to confuse the Cincinnati secondary, because Smith was wide open for Terry Bradshaw's first touchdown toss. Bradshaw's second touchdown pass was deflected off the hands of Bengals safety Sandy Durko and into the arms of number 26, Preston Pearson. After losing to the Chicago Bears last week on 2 late fumbles, Pittsburgh appeared willing to give away another game when Lamar Parrish stole the ball from Preston Pearson and carried it in for a score. But not so this week. Some good blocks by Chuck Allen and Rocky Blyer and a smart 67-yard return by John Staggers settled the young tough issue, at least for the time being, in the Steelers' favor, 21-10. Against Cincinnati, it was the Steelers who fell behind, but it was the Steelers who would come back. The Steeler defense took the razzle out of Cincinnati's dazzling offense by holding the Bengals to 28 yards rushing and not allowing a touchdown. This time, the Steeler offense played a complete game. Dave Smith caught 8 passes for 162 yards, and Bradshaw threw 2 touchdown passes. The special teams rounded out the offensive display, springing John Staggers on a 67-yard punt return. The Steelers had learned their lessons well with a 21-10 mark and a comeback victory of their own. Upon recovering from ill health, Sid Gilman decided to again take over as San Diego's head coach. It appears that Gilman spent his sabbatical leave by studying yoga, as he has installed some rather offbeat conditioning exercises. Despite the Chargers' training methods and a flock of new players, the keys to the San Diego attack are still quarterback John Hadle, number 21, and wide receiver Gary Garrison, number 27. And against Pittsburgh, this combination got together to set up the first Chargers score, a Dennis Partee field goal. Against the Steelers, Hadle had an outstanding day, but several errors cost the Chargers the game. This fumble recovery by Pittsburgh's Joe Green, number 75, set up a 5-yard touchdown blast by running back John Fuqua, number 33. In addition to Gary Garrison, Hadel has another outstanding receiver in rookie Billy Parks, number 32. Against the Steelers, Parks caught 8 passes, and this touchdown gave San Diego a 10-7 halftime lead. Hadel had a superb day passing as he completed 25 of 36 passes, but costly interceptions killed important scoring drives. This interception by Lee Callan, number 44, turned the ball over to Steeler quarterback Terry Bradshaw, number 12, who capitalized on every break. Using running back John Fuqua, number 33, Bradshaw engineered a drive that ended in a 1-yard touchdown run by Fuqua that put the Steelers back on top 14-10. Old Pro John Hadel led the Chargers on several comeback efforts, like this touchdown run by Mike Garrett, number 20, that put San Diego back on the upper end of the seesaw 17-10. Trailing by 1 touchdown, all the pressure fell on young Terry Bradshaw, number 12. Recently, Bradshaw has been criticized by the press for his tendency to throw interceptions in tense situations, but the second-year quarterback from Louisiana Tech performed like a proven veteran. Bradshaw led Pittsburgh on a fourth-quarter touchdown march that iced the Steeler victory. Young Terry Bradshaw had bested Old Pro John Hadel, and although the Chargers dominated almost every statistical category, they lost the ball game. Final score, Pittsburgh 21, San Diego 17. Against San Diego, the Steelers would face a tougher test. Late in the third quarter, they trailed 17-14. 82 yards separated the offense and the end zone. Bradshaw and the Steeler offense faced their dilemma and boldly cut a path through it. The offense had proved their mettle and grabbed the lead. The defense would keep it. 3 times in the last 5 minutes, the Chargers would be inside the Steeler 20. 3 times they would be thrown back. First down on the Steeler 7. John Hadel tried a run and 3 passes. They failed. First down on the Steeler 17. Hadel went back upstairs. Jack Ham shot him down. Second down on the Steeler 2. 3 clashes to determine a victor. The Steelers stayed tough to the end. In a classic gut display, the Steeler defense had preserved victory. Pittsburgh held a share of their division lead and headed for a showdown with the Browns.
Number 88, Dave Smith. Apparently beaten, the Steelers' strong arm brought Pittsburgh back with a fury in the second half. An 11-yard connection to Ron Shanklin made it 20-17 in the fourth quarter, and the game was suddenly up for grabs.
The game against Cleveland would determine the AFC Central Division leader. But through the first half, the Steeler offense found itself down 17-0 and unable to get up. While the Steelers searched for answers on the sideline, Bradshaw found the solution in his arm, and the Steelers came back. The Steelers' uphill climb reached to within 3 points, but their try for a tie from the Cleveland 43 went amiss. The gloom over the loss to Cleveland was matched by the weather in the Steelers' Monday night television clash with the Chiefs. One play epitomized Pittsburgh's plight. Dave Smith's premature touchdown celebration and the 6 points that slipped from his grasp were an apt summation of a frustrating 38-16 loss.
Standing in a gloom in Pittsburgh, winless head coach Ed Hughes might have felt like herd animals grazing on tartan turf. Perhaps he thought of lambs in the slaughter, or did he wonder simply which were the lambs and who were the goats? Whatever he thought, his Houston Oilers came out looking like winners for the first time this year. Rookie Dan Pastorini set up 2 touchdowns with passes. One to number 81 Jim Byrne and one to number 18 Charlie Joyner. Steeler quarterback number 12, Terry Bradshaw, scrambled to keep Pittsburgh in the game. Number 26, Preston Pearson, made the catch, but that was as far as he and the Steelers got. Bradshaw was unable to ring up a touchdown, and he and the Steelers had to settle for 3 field goals in the first 3 periods. When Bradshaw was forced to leave the game briefly, his replacement number 5, Terry Hanratty, could do no better. Number 29, safety Ken Houston, intercepted 3 passes as the alert Oiler defense collected 5 turnovers. But Pittsburgh plays defense too. Witness number 75, Mean Joe Green. And by the start of the 4th period, the score stood 13-9 for the Oilers. It was then that Bradshaw rallied his team, and behind the Steelers' strong arm, Pittsburgh began to move. One of the Steelers, number 85, Bob Adams, says that playing with Bradshaw is like watching a flower blooming in slow motion. And on this day, though some of his methods may have been suspect, Bradshaw came out smelling like a rose. And Bradshaw and number 33, Frenchie Fuqua, who gained 113 yards in just 16 carries, accounted for 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to defeat Houston 23-16. And all that bloomin' flower power and those sheep and goats grazing on tartan turf in Three River Stadium left Houston's winless coach Ed Hughes with pause for still greater wonderment.
The next week versus Houston, the frustration continued as the Steelers came up inches short and 10 points down. But the Steelers had been behind before. Riding Bradshaw's arm, the Steelers began yet another uphill climb. With 3 minutes to go, John Fuqua's 30-yard run completed a 23-16 Steeler comeback. The weeks of frustration had ended. The Steelers were well again.
Ancient Memorial Stadium wears a mantle of fog and mist like a comfortable old topcoat. In the fall, Baltimore, Maryland seems perpetually shrouded in a chilling drizzle, and it's no secret these Colts are great mudders. But last week, the angry Pittsburgh Steelers were in to make mortal the Baltimore rushing game. The Colts were held to 74 yards on the ground, and Terry Bradshaw found the only way to fly with a 31-yard touchdown to Ronnie Shanklin. Bradshaw also scored twice himself on short runs. And with their master plan to stop Baltimore's bread-and-butter ground game, the Steelers sensed an upset.
In a loss to Baltimore in Week 7, Bradshaw ran for 2 touchdowns. But there was only one thought on Terry's and every Steelers' mind at game's end. Week 8 meant a battle with the Browns, again for first place. And Bradshaw's running had the Steelers in front 16-0. But on this run, Bradshaw was injured and the offense stalled. It would take a big defensive effort to make the lead stand up, and the Steeler defense responded. Late in the game, with the Steeler lead cut to 7, the defense made the play that spelled victory. L.C. Greenwood blocked a Cleveland punt to set up the clincher. The Steelers had their biggest win of the season. Defense had drawn Pittsburgh side by side with Cleveland in the AFC Central.
Sunday afternoons in Pittsburgh's Three Rivers Stadium are becoming colorful indeed. Although Terry Bradshaw is but the latest in a series of Steeler quarterback hopefuls, the message remains the same. In one of the NFL's oldest rivalries, the Browns met the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Cleveland quarterback Bill Nelson used to be a Steeler hopeful. And after being traded, he led the Browns to several divisional titles. But he's now hearing the beat of a different drummer, or at least the drumming of different feet. Although expecting to see only limited action this year, Nelson has been forced to play regularly due to the slow development of Mike Phipps. The Browns have seen their offense sputter, choke, and cough up the ball. John Rouser, number 48, intercepted 2 of Nelson's ruptured ducks. Bradshaw, on the other hand, was having much better success, handing off to Frenchie Fuqua as the Steelers sprinted out to a 10-0 first quarter lead on Bradshaw's touchdown plunge. After Roy Gerella kicked his second of 4 field goals, Bradshaw began throwing to his backs instead of handing off, and the Steelers looked brighter than ever. And then an ominous event occurred. After gaining 39 yards on a scramble, Bradshaw was forced from the game with an injury to his right foot. The long-range effect of the injury is not known at this time, but the focus of Steeler fortunes will certainly shift to Terry Hanratty, at least for a while. Coming in cold, Hanratty did manage to keep the team afloat with passes like this one to Donnie Shanklin, number 25. But without Bradshaw, the Browns sought to make their move on the Steelers. A fumble snap resulted in a safety that made the score 16-2. Then Nelson threw a pass that eventually came down in the arms of fair hooker number 43. At the opening of the fourth quarter, Bo Scott scored from the one, and suddenly it was 16-9. But the Steelers had played too well to lose again to Cleveland. And with Terry Bradshaw back on the sidelines for the fourth quarter, Hanratty and Dave Smith combined for an electrifying touchdown that settled the issue. The Steelers are now tied for first place with Cleveland, and you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind is blowing in Pittsburgh. The barometer is sky high. Steelers 26, Browns 9.
Tied for first in their division, the Steelers traveled to Miami in the Orange Bowl. Bradshaw to Smith-Shanklin accounted for all the Steeler points in a 21-3 Steeler takeoff. The Dolphins, too, had a bombing streak, and 3 greasy-to-Warfield bolts led to a 3-point Miami bulge. But from there, the Steeler defense shut down Miami's air marauders. Though they turned the ball over to the offense on 4 occasions, the Steelers could not score again, and their last chance slipped away.
Terry Bradshaw led his team on a march that began on his own 20 and ended in Miami's end zone. He did it on a mixture of short passes, power runs, and screens that kept the enemy on its heels. There was considerable doubt that Bradshaw would even be in the lineup today. He'd suffered a badly sprained ankle in the Steelers' big win over Cleveland the week before, and Terry Hanratty was expected to start. But Bradshaw couldn't be kept out. After a flat pass to Frenchie Fuqua was good for 13, Bradshaw found Dave Smith slanting over the middle. He broke a necktie tackle and romped in for Pittsburgh's first score. This is the young man that prematurely thumped the ball down in Kansas City a few weeks ago. But he shouldn't be remembered for that unfortunate incident too long, for the Steelers feel that Smith is one of the coming stars of the game. Pittsburgh had to wait only one play before they had the ball again. Myra gave to Mercury Morris, who fumbled. The ball was recovered by L.C. Greenwood on the Miami 32. Two plays later, Bradshaw wobbled a pass that was deflected into the hands of Ron Shanklin, and the speedy youngster gleefully carried the gift in for a score. A repeat of the touchdown shows Bradshaw throwing into an 18-mile-an-hour wind. Number 40, Anderson, tipping the ball right to Shanklin. It's ironic because if the pass had been a typical Bradshaw bullet, Shanklin most likely wouldn't have been so fortunate. Greasy's fumble came on the last play of the first quarter and gave Pittsburgh the ball at midfield. A repeat reveals the Dolphin quarterback actually recovered his own fumble, but Steeler linebacker Andy Russell stole it away from him. It was a big play for the captain of the Steelers, but it's something he's been doing for 7 years now as one of the defensive standouts in football. The turnover was unusual for Miami, for they have had few this year, one of Shula's prime ingredients for success. They've had only 9 turnovers all season, far below most teams. Greasy has thrown only 3 interceptions, best among regular quarterbacks, and one reason he leads the AFC in passing. With Namath and Unitas on their team's benches, Bob Greasy has claim to the title Best Quarterback in the East. But back to another quarterback, and one with a very hot hand. Terry Bradshaw was quick to take advantage of Greasy's fumble. After he bulleted one pass to Dave Smith for a first down, Bradshaw, off a play fake to Fuqua, threw another beauty for Shanklin. A great save by cornerback Tim Foley, number 25, foiled Bradshaw. Now with the ball on the Miami 35, Bradshaw screened to Fuqua, and frantic Frenchie tore for 19 yards to the Dolphins' 16-yard line. Watch number 85 on this repeat of the previous play. Middlebacker Nick Bonaconte tried to blitz Bradshaw, but was picked up perfectly by guard Gary Mullins and set back Preston Pearson. The rest was left to Fuqua, who is the only runner in the conference to gain over 100 yards in 3 games this year. From the Miami 16, Bradshaw threw in the left flat for Dave Smith, who broke 2 tackles with great moves and went in for the score. A repeat of this touchdown vividly displays the moves he used to shake first Curtis Johnson, then a diving Jake Scott. Pittsburgh was now way out in front of Miami, 21-3. Greasy tried to spring Morris wide, and although he showed great balance, rookie linebacker Jack Ham stopped him for a loss.
It was one of those days in Pittsburgh that you read about in books. That is, if you happen to like Dracula. If the elements were growling, so were the Steelers. They had won all 4 of their games at home while losing the 5 away, so they were very anxious to make the Giants victim number 5. The Giants were reluctant to cooperate. Quarterback Fran Tarkenton is having one of his better years, and he dazzled the Steelers with passes to Bob Tucker, number 38, and Dick Houston, number 84. But the touchdown to Houston was the only one the Giants could tally. Led by Joe Green, number 75, and L.C. Greenwood, number 68, the Steelers came up with the required big plays. Their biggest play was a gift when kicker Pete Gogolak thought twice about a field goal attempt. Tarkington lobbed a pass downfield, and John Rouser intercepted it and negotiated 70 yards for a touchdown. The Steeler offense, though not suffering from overexposure, did have its moments. In the first quarter, Dave Smith burned for 73 yards on a flanker screen, only to have it all called back for illegal motion. The Steelers got it back, however, when Preston Pearson took the second half kickoff and careened 77 yards. From there, Terry Bradshaw threw twice to Ronnie Shanklin, and the Steelers led 17-13. The Giants threw up a furious bid to win. Tarkington, who now has over 2,000 pass completions, led his team downfield. And with 4 seconds left, Steeler coach Chuck Noll was well aware of what Tarkington could do. What Brand did do, however, was loft one incomplete, and the Steelers had evened their record at 5-5, retaining a piece of first place in the AFC East, and had beaten the Giants 17-13.
Back in snowy Pittsburgh, bad luck followed the Steelers as a 73-yard screen to Smith was wiped out by a penalty. The Giants grabbed the lead, but the Steelers came back with more long play lightning. John Rouser went 70 yards on an interception of a botched field goal late in the first half. Preston Pearson traveled 77 yards on the second half kickoff. Pearson's return set up the winning score in a 17-13 Steelers comeback. The Steelers were alive and in the title chase, but the victory was not without pain, and though they did not know it, their title chances were drawing to a close.
A fumble recovery, a pass from Terry Hanratty to Preston Pearson put the Steelers on the board.
Against Denver, the Steelers were bewitched, bothered, and Floyd Littled in their first home loss of 1971. For Cincinnati coach Paul Brown, this has perhaps been his most disappointing season. And last week, the heartaches continued as Pittsburgh took a 7-0 lead on Terry Hanratty's sweep for a touchdown. The Bengals have been ravaged by injuries this year, and rarely has the young, aggressive defense been in top physical condition. When the Bengals are healthy, they are tough. And oft-injured Mike Reed, number 74, is one of the toughest. This jarring tackle caused a shoulder separation for Terry Hanratty and provided the fire for a Bengal comeback. Quarterback Virgil Carter paired up with rugged tight end Bruce Coslett, number 88, to lead Cincinnati to their first touchdown. A Carter scramble, a short toss, and an all-out effort by Coslett knotted the score at 7. One of the most consistent Bengal performers has been number 20, Lamar Parrish, whose dodging, weaving run set up one of 2 Horst Muhlmann field goals that put Cincinnati on top, 13-7. But then number 12, Terry Bradshaw, entered the game and led a fourth-quarter Steeler charge. Bradshaw's touchdown pass to John Fuqua, number 33, put Pittsburgh on top, 14-13, and put the pressure on Cincinnati's quarterback, Virgil Carter. With time running out, Carter had to put the ball in the air, and the Steelers' number 49, rookie defensive back Ralph Anderson, was ready and waiting. The interception ruined the Bengals' hopes and set up the final Pittsburgh score. A 5-yard shot from Bradshaw to number 25, Ron Shanklin. For the Steelers, the 21-13 win clinched second place behind Cleveland in the AFC Central. But for the hard-luck Bengals, it was just one more loss in a difficult season. Pittsburgh pride is deep, and though there would be no championship for the Steelers, there remain 2 games to be played. 2 games to show their class. In Cincinnati, Bradshaw gave way to Terry Hanratty, who moved the Steelers to an early score. But then Hanratty's luck turned. An injury ended Terry's season and brought on Bob Leahy. Just activated for the game, his luck wasn't much better. Thus, Terry Bradshaw was called on to come in relief, but was greeted less than graciously. The rough treatment of their leaders inspired the Steeler defense, and they repaid the Bengals in kind. The Bengals were beaten physically. It remained for Terry Bradshaw to beat them on the scoreboard. Playing for nothing more than pride, the Steelers had a 21-13 victory, their 6th win of 1971. More wins than any Steeler team since 1963.
However, on the short passes of Bradshaw and the twisting, whirling efforts of Johnny Fuqua, number 33. Bradshaw threw a pair of touchdown passes. This one to rookie Larry Brown, number 87. Narrowed the score to 16-14. But a long touchdown drive with Willie Ellison gain his 1,000th yard.
Pittsburgh's final game of 1971 was against the Rams, and the Steelers ended the season the way they had begun it, trading blow for blow and gaining respect. Though the Steelers fell behind, Terry Bradshaw led the team on one last assault on the goal. the end, their rally fell just short, but the Rams knew they had been in a game against a coming team. In the end, their fans paid tribute. They enjoyed watching the 71 Steelers, and the 71 Steelers enjoyed playing football. It is a marriage of fan and football player that can only bring honor and glory to the city and its football team.